everyone, I'm Ashley McManus, Senior Director of Global Marketing at SmartEye. Welcome to the Human-Centric AI podcast, where each episode we interview thought leaders doing cutting-edge work in the AI space. A little bit about us. Affectiva is on a mission to humanize technology. Acquired by SmartEye in 2021, Affectiva created and defined the category of emotion AI. Built on deep learning, computer vision, speech science, and massive amounts of real-world data, Affectiva's technology can detect nuanced human emotions, complex cognitive states, activities, interactions, and objects people use. For over 20 years, SmartEye has developed AI in the form of eye-tracking technology that understands, supports, and predicts a person's intentions and actions. By carefully studying eye, facial, and head movement, our technology can draw conclusions about a person's awareness and mental state. Our eye-tracking technology is providing new insights for research within aerospace, aviation, neuroscience, and more. Today, I am personally very excited about this very special episode featuring our global team of working women at SmartEye in honor of International Women's Day. We posed 3 questions to our team and compiled the responses into the episode you're about to hear. We asked them to talk about their role, background, and career journey, what it means to be a woman in tech to them, and in response to this year's International Women's Day theme of Break the Bias, what is one recommendation that they have to raise awareness against bias or that people can do to take action for gender equality. Let's listen in to learn more.
Hi there, my name is Reem Ayman, and I'm the Data Acquisition Specialist in Affectiva's Cairo office, which is now a SmartEye company.
Anna McMurdo, I'm a UX designer here at iMotions in Copenhagen.
My name is Serena. I work on the media analytics team at Affectiva SmartEye as a research manager.
My name is Anna Samuelsson, and I work as a software developer and product lead at the Research Instruments Development team at SmartEye Gothenburg.
My name is Ashley McManus. I am the Senior Director of Global Marketing here at Affectiva, a SmartEye company.
I'm Divya Sirnani. I am one of the product specialists here at Copenhagen.
Hi, my name is Yulia Nandria Miller, and I am the Senior Executive Assistant to the Deputy CEO and Head of Special Projects.
My name is Jessica Wilson, and I am the Technical Director at iMotions North America.
I'm Gabby Zijderveld, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at SmartEye.
My name is Julia, and I'm an HR consultant at SmartEye.
Hello, my name is Q Wong. I am the Director of Customer Solutions North America here at iMotions.
My name is Minaya Ramses, and I'm General Manager of SmartEye Egypt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Isabella Dow. I'm the Marketing Analytics and Digital Insights Manager at SmartEye, originally coming from Affectiva.
I'm Hidalgo, and I'm Customer Success Manager, also here in Copenhagen.
Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm a Mechanical Design Engineer at SmartEye in Gothenburg.
Hello, I'm Sharon Ali, and I help Affectiva and SmartEye bring to market our leading emotion AI technology in the media analytics space by collaborating with our science and development team to drive our product roadmap forward. For me, being a woman in tech is all about accessibility and equity. It's being a part of a community that's larger than I could imagine. It's about building connections across industries, continents, and disciplines to retain and recruit women in this very unique space. Therefore, unlocking equity and accessibility on the human side. My daily work here contributes to reinventing how humans and machines interact. Therefore, unlocking accessibility and equity on the technology side. This year, for International Women's Day, I will break the bias by helping more marginalized voices break into tech through mentorship. For anyone out there wondering what they can do to start breaking the bias, my biggest advice to you would be to be intentional and purposeful whenever you center and uplift marginalized voices. Together, we'll break the bias and create a more equitable society.
For me, being a woman in tech is a both interesting and challenging experience. I love working with technology and new technology and to learn new things. And in this field, there is an endless amount of new things to learn. However, it is also a challenging experience being one of the very, very few women in the field. I and many of my colleagues in the same field have experienced harassment and unwelcome behavior. And I would say that is the greatest challenge of being a woman in tech. I think to raise awareness against this bias and to take action towards gender equality, I think one must start with oneself. Ask yourself, what do I do? Do you laugh along when you hear a joke or a compliment that makes one of your colleagues uncomfortable, or do you speak up? Do you know what policies and action plans your employer have to combat harassment, discrimination, and promote gender equality? Have you taken part in any activities at your workplace to promote tech among girls or young women? I strongly believe that these small actions that each and every one of us can do is the start of the change. And I strongly believe that is what we have to do to break the bias.
For the past 16 years, I've focused on the educational technology and software technology sales space. And while I'm not one of the brilliant women who are developers, programmers, product managers, or coders, my role is to be a part of that space to help represent and encourage girls to see that the females in those roles and know that they too can do it. So it's not just for the boys, and it's not tied into the traditional roles of men being in the sciences, technology, math, engineering, and women and girls being in the soft skills of nurturing, caring, and homemaker, home economics type of roles. We want to make sure that the girls can see all the possibilities out there and they can achieve those as well. So my mission really is to not just share in the solutions of what our tech companies can do, but I also want to help share the talents that are in the women of tech as well.
My career journey and life really has been anything but linear. I love trying new things and pursuing new interests and turning some of those new interests into careers. Actually, before moving to Boston to take on this role at Affectiva, which is now Smart Eye, I was an events and wedding planner in Maui, Hawaii. I'm really proud of my fearlessness to go into the unknown and figure it out. And so, to me, being a woman in tech means building a strong network of supporters, different colors and backgrounds and all interests, and to learn from each other through collaboration. That's really important to me. This year's International Women's Day theme is Break the Bias. So my one recommendation that I have to raise awareness against bias or that people can do to take action for gender equality is really simple. Speak up for yourself, for others around you, especially for ones that perhaps don't have a voice. I remember hearing an Martin Luther King quote when I was much younger, and it has deeply stuck with me over the years. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Happy International Women's Day, everyone.
So in 10th grade, I took my first programming class, or computer science class, and I was the only woman in it. And I think that was pretty typical. I think once I got to cognitive science in university, there was more women, but they tended to go, more towards the neuroscience stuff. Yeah. I think the people that specialize in the HCI part, you notice that you stand out, right? That there's not a lot of you.
That's so interesting. I remember we were more women than men when we were doing psychology at bachelor's. By master's, it was like 50-50. Towards PhD, it was already like more men than women in general. And there was one female supervisor in the entire department at my PhD. So all the supervisors were again men. But yeah, it's just you realize it later on, not exactly early on in your studies. It's interesting that you notice that already in 10th grade.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, when you're literally the only one, I think it's more. Yeah. I mean, at the time, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. I'm just like, ooh, look at all the boys, right? Like, I have the attention of a whole class. And it's only kind of later that I was like, yeah, already, by high school, it was very much like I was doing like a guy thing. Yeah. Because women weren't supposed to be good at math, but I was. And I didn't really realize till later that I wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
I feel like in neuroscience, the gender split's actually pretty good. And I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of changes to get to that point, right? But still, I mean, even though there was such good representation in my class, I feel like there was still sort of the remnants of like the old guard in a sense. Because like I remember I had a I had a classmate who she had already had one child before joining grad school. And when she was giving her grad school interviews, like a PI straight up asked her, like, oh, are you going to have another kid? And it's like, I'm pretty sure that's not legal. Like, you can't really.
Definitely not.
Yeah, but it's like, and there's still a lot of things that have to change in academia, like, making sure that the tenure clock actually stops if you try to have a family and things. And it's, I feel like women in science and tech have come a long way, but there's still some systemic things that still have to happen.
Yeah.
And also I think in processes of like, I guess, more commercial interviews when you are applying for a job or something, I have heard amazing stories about women trying to reach new positions in jobs and really awkward comments or questions on these interviews. So I think for me, when I hear the question like what it means to be a woman or be a woman in tech or in science in general, for me it means that we still need to do a lot, or we still need to work a lot on it, so that at some point we will not hear this question.
Yeah.
It's mainly like what it means to you to work in tech. We don't need to explain why we as women are in tech. Like there should be one day that we are completely in the same position so that we don't need to make this difference, let's say.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That's really cool.
I think it's interesting. I mean, even like here, because I've been working in Copenhagen, 11 years now, and in several different companies. And I still to this day, I think I've met one female Danish like programmer. I do like, there's usually a few, but like none of them have been educated in Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like even more gender biased here for some reason. I don't know why. But there's still, I mean, at least here it's actually, I work with more women in the dev department than like any other company I've been at, even though it's smaller than other places I've been.
Yeah.
So actually having a couple of female programmers is nice, but surprising.
Yeah, I feel, myself like really lucky that I never had like a really bad experience or this difference between, for example, when I was studying or when working, all these things. So I think, in this way here, we are more or less half and half. And,
I guess I've never had bad experiences, but something that disturbs me is that training for women is always still so focused on be more like men. Even in my PhD, or during my PhD, if you went for these like soft skills training, it was so much about, oh, how do you think a man would handle this situation? It's like, oh, you're not really teaching me anything there. Or work-life balance should be thought of, how men think about it. And that's like, why are you including this in training, even in Western Europe? And you're still training women at PhD level to, be more like men rather than just be like, oh yeah, there are differences, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, or maybe there's strengths that women have that men should learn to be more like us as well. I worked with someone, like another UX designer at one point, and he was like, oh, hey, so I, was picking all the different colors, and I decided like, your product, it should be the pink one. You girls will like that, because I was working with the only other female designer. And I was like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, you girls just always like pink, so I picked that color for you. I was like, I hate the color pink. Like, why is that the assumption? So, and I mean, there's, all kinds of small digs and stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I think sometimes there are like these small things that we don't even realize at that moment, like we just take it as normal because are part of our like way of talking, our daily life. Yeah. And then at some point you realize like, wait, 1 second, like, why is this person asking me this? Or why is this person saying that?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes we don't even realize.
So I guess what I'm thinking of now is breaking the glass ceiling is like such a 90s thing. That's not a thing anymore. Like you can do that, but it's the small everyday jabs that need to change.
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts just calling out people on stuff. I mean, I think calling out when it happens, and not just women having to say, I mean, it's really hard if someone's saying something derogatory towards you to be like, hey, that's not cool. But having other people say it, I think would be really helpful.
For me, my recommendation will be encouraging small girls, women in general, to do wherever you want. I mean, we can do wherever we want. So just do it. You like computer science? Do it. You like, I don't know, wherever you want.
Yeah.
There are no limits.
Yeah. I guess my recommendation would be to build more community. That's something that really helped me in the past.
Yeah.
It took me a while to even identify myself as a woman in tech science, yes, but with a psychology background, being like, is it really tech? And when I started programming a lot, I got into Our Ladies, and that was really helpful because it was just an all women or all gender minority organization. So it was more comfortable to be like, oh yeah, we're all struggling with similar things. And it's okay to just be like, I have no idea how to write this piece of code, and then go from there and then write an entire script. Be like, oh yeah, I am a woman in tech now. So that was quite nice and empowering.
Yeah, I try to think about this a lot more, like being more in a place where I'm taking care of people. It's sort of, okay, how do I advocate for the women working here in a way that's constructive, but then also like builds good habits, like using the right words of, instead of, the cliched example of like so-and-so is bossy. Well, no, so-and-so is opinionated and is not afraid of speaking her mind. And it's like, is there a way that I can better, use the words that other people should be using and just be a good example and plant that seed in people's heads? But at the same time, also like building up the people that work with me and being like, hey, these people are awesome. And for all these different reasons.
I mean, on that note, I think I was really happy that my first round of interview for iMotions was with Jess and Kirstine, and I was like, yeah, 2 women interviewed me for this. I'm ready to move on.
It's like we didn't even plan that. It just like happened. And like clients mentioned that too. Like there was a professor at Michigan, I think I had a demo with me and Q, and she said, I just want to let you know, just having 2 women on the call to talk about this stuff has meant so much to me, because it's usually just like a bunch of dudes, and to be able to talk about this stuff with like 2 women who know what they're talking about is just like such a game changer. And it's something that clients notice too, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think in iMotions we have a representation of women in all of the departments, actually, all of them. So I think that really shows how valuable we are.
No, there's a much better gender balance here. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I have been with Affectiva for a little over 5 years now in the marketing team based in Boston. My background is a little over 10 years marketing for B2B tech companies, mostly startups. The tactics that I really enjoy are partner marketing, joint marketing. I started and launched our podcast about 4 years ago now. We're almost at 10,000 downloads. I enjoy blogs, PR, again, thought leadership content, working together with companies to help amplify our message together. I'm all about repurposing everything, working cross-functionally, worked with everyone from BD to engineers to our data scientists to help create compelling content. Also, one of my favorite things to do is manage and coach our team and our interns and seeing the next generation kind of grow. I will say that I also got this job while I was 6 months pregnant. So not a lot of companies would take a chance on a 6-month pregnant lady who would have to go on maternity leave shortly after. But I'm glad they took the chance on me. And I've been here, like I said, a little over 6 years. What does being a woman in tech mean to you? For me, it means showing up. There's, you look around and there's definitely a lot of men at the table, or men in general kind of representing engineers, scientists, data, leadership. And I feel like, as someone who's not as well represented, simply showing up is definitely a way that we can kind of make that change. So, and I also think that it's about not giving up. So as tempting as it was during the Great Resignation, having 2 little kids and trying to be a mom and be an employee and be a leader at my company, I didn't give up. I know it's easy to kind of lean back and want to, take a break. And I felt like pushing through it is probably the best way I can kind of make it happen. I also think it's about fighting the status quo of what it means to be a working mom, and what I hope has what happened in the last few years, recognizing what's no longer acceptable. So I think that setting an example and lifting the few and far between women up around me as success. My ultimate goal is that if my daughters ever want to pursue a career, and it doesn't have to be in tech, but a career in general, that they won't face the same obstacles that I did. And I know that we have a long way to go, but that's also kind of a driving force as to what it means to be women in tech. This year's International Women's Day theme is Break the Bias. What is one recommendation you have to raise awareness against bias, or that people can do to take action for gender equality? So I had a couple of ideas around this one. So first, I would say look around. Do you see a lot of people at your company that look exactly like you? If you do, that's a problem. Don't be afraid to call companies out on gender disparity. I would go out of your way to get a diverse pipeline of candidates and really push yourself out of your comfort zone to hire candidates that might not look like you, that have your same experience, that come from the same places or have the same background that you do. A really robust workplace and company thrives on the diversity of its employees and the different perspectives that all types of people bring to the table. So I think reframing it as the possibilities of really being deliberate about who you surround yourself with, I think is a great way to break the bias.
In addition to my current role as General Manager for Cairo Operations, I also oversee a global annotation as part of data management in SmartEye. I've always been in the software field since I graduated from computer science. I've been a developer, software project manager, account delivery manager, and more. 32 years ago, I never thought I would still be in the software field today. I think using technology to produce applications that are useful for mankind was and is still a motivator for me. Statistically, it is shown that more women in Egypt are STEM-level university students, but the workplace doesn't reflect that. I think there are major bias issues, especially in senior positions. One other major factor is flexibility for moms and wives. Most managers don't like it when women tell them, I need time for my family, I need time for my kids. I think we need to adjust work policies to accommodate women in a much better way without affecting their career growth. Obviously, women do play a huge role in the business world today.
A woman in tech to me means, since I don't feel really like a tech woman, but I think it means that you have to work with many men. And I think that, which is good, I think, in a way, because, I don't think that you feel like everyone is very respectful in tech. That's really I've seen many different branches, and people in tech are so respectful. And so I think it's great because you really get the same opportunities. Maybe in other branches it could be different, maybe being a woman, I don't really know. But I think in tech you have really, really, the same opportunities and, to really, excel. Mm-hmm. But it might also be a little bit lonely, maybe. Because I think you can miss out some of your, female colleagues. Yeah,
definitely. We need to get more.
Yeah, so we need to get more. Absolutely more. We are needed. I think.
Yes,
we are wanted. We are wanted in the tech industry.
Agreed with that.
Yeah,
definitely have a lot of perspective, I think, to contribute to that, the tech space. So this year's International Women's Day theme is Break the Bias. So what is one recommendation you have? It's great to get the HR perspective on this, to raise awareness against bias, or that people can do to take action for gender equality?
Well, I think it's to, everything from just letting women, into higher positions, get them into manager management positions and get them into the boards and get them into the top management level. I think that's very important. I think it's important to, when you hire people, you also, really, really work to, to reach out to not just women, but also to, all diversity, because I think this tech branch is quite
stereotypical.
Yeah, stereotypical.
Yes.
So we really need, everything.
Having a marketing education and background, I've never really thought about myself or even seen myself as a woman in tech, even though I do work at a tech company and have a STEM degree. So for me, being a woman in tech, it's about both opportunity, representation, and community. It's also about having the vulnerability to embrace my journey and be proud of it, as well as the courage and confidence of owning my place as the Latina woman in tech that I am. I am originally from Brazil, and to be honest, I've never dreamed about working in the tech space. It kind of just happened to me. But now that I am in it, I think it's a really cool industry to work with, especially as a B2B insights marketer. I am very, very thankful for Effectiva and my amazing kick-ass manager to have given me the opportunity to kickstart my career in the US. I am really proud of being one of the many Latina women in the industry, even though there's still not enough of us. And I sure will work my butt off to do my part as a woman in tech to leave this world and this industry a little bit better than what it is now, especially for the next generation. I have a couple of advices and recommendations for breaking the bias and really help people take action for gender equality. One, to build a support team, network, community of people that you really trust in and outside the company, and ideally of both diverse men and women, and really take advantage of them by using them as a sounding board for important conversations, to brainstorm initiatives, ask for advice or mentorship, or to just have them in your corner and know that they will advocate for you. And two, voice your opinion, share your thoughts, call people out when you have to, and don't be scared to do so. No matter what position you are in the company you work for or your level of seniority, your feelings are valid, your opinion matters, and your voice needs to be heard to be taken into consideration.
Being a woman in tech for me means that I can work with something that I enjoy doing and also something that I feel that I'm good at. To break the bias, I think the most important thing to do is to speak up. Dare to be the awkward or grumpy one, and let people know when they say something that is not okay. I think that's the most important part.
My career journey has been a roller coaster, starting with the lab setup all the way to conducting actual recording sessions and mastering the art of multitasking, which includes lab construction, recruitment, screening candidates, conducting phone interviews, scheduling appointments, following up with candidates, handling official and unofficial paperwork, managing logistics, financial reporting, quality checks, uploading material, and the toughest of them all is hunting candidates of different demographics and managing to communicate with them their job requirements. And finally, reporting all of the outcome to the managing team. Being a woman in the tech industry has definitely been a challenge, especially in this job role, as it requires a male specialist to be able to handle all the job requirements as per our societal views. Thankfully, though, I was given the opportunity to showcase my skills and ability to perform as efficiently and effectively as any male specialist would. And with hard work and commitment, I met all my department's requirements during my year of employment. My advice to break the bias is not to allow others to dictate you on what you can or cannot do. If you believe you have what it takes to do the job, just go out there, show everyone what you've got to offer, and get the job done even better than anyone expects you to.
I've been in tech for nearly 3 decades. It's been truly amazing how fast that time has flown by. But it's given me an opportunity to have a number of very different roles. I have done a lot of product management work, product marketing work, channel management, strategic partnerships, done a lot of international work with a lot of travel, and had the opportunity to work for companies very small and very large, such as, for example, Dragon Systems in the early days or IBM for a number of years. But the thing I've enjoyed most I think in all those roles is building new stuff. bringing new products, technologies, and solutions to market. And as I got more advanced in my career, really helping other team members be successful at doing that. My first job was in an international marketing role at a company called On Technology. It was December of 1994 that I started there. And I ended up there actually because I had friends working in tech, and the situation was quite a bit funny because my formal education is certainly not in computer science or in business. I got a graduate degree in art history. And so I had these friends working at the company On Technology, and they said, you should come and interview with us. And I looked a bit puzzled because I said, well, I really don't know anything about software, and I certainly don't know anything about marketing. But they said, well, that does not matter. You can learn that on the job. What matters is that you're international. And I remember to this day being a bit puzzled by that and wondering what the heck does that mean? But it meant that I had lived in another country. I had traveled a lot and I spoke a few different languages. And that was the type of person and personality and background they wanted to add to the team. So that really kickstarted my career. From there, I went to Dragon Systems, where I was an international product manager working on version 1, Dragon Naturally Speaking. So that certainly dates me. And from there, a number of different companies, startups mostly, where I worked in product marketing and international partnership roles. So that was also a time in my career where I had an opportunity to travel a lot, work with different cultures, work with partners around the globe. Super interesting and certainly great training grounds. I was at a company for a few months that then got acquired by IBM. I never really had the desire to work for a company that large. It just never appealed to me. And certainly in my first months there, it was difficult. Huge company, lots of red tape, very bureaucratic in certain ways, lots of politics. And I really did want to run for the hills screaming in the beginning, but decided I should just give it maybe half a year and see if I could make it work. I ended up staying for 7 years, had a lot of great learning opportunities. This is where I started managing larger teams and larger product portfolios. At one point, I managed a portfolio of about 7 or 8 products that did 80 million in annual revenue, with a small team of product managers and product marketing managers delivering that. A great learning experience. From there, I jumped to the hardware side of the house, where for a number of years, I was leading the marketing for Linux across the IBM company. That in itself was a fascinating business because IBM did not sell Linux distributions, but Linux influenced the sale of IBM hardware, software, and services to the amount of $6 billion a year. So big business. We ran the partnerships with Red Hat and SUSE. Again, very different, great learning opportunity. But I had the itch. I wanted to work for a startup. And that was when in 2014, I got introduced to the leadership at Affectiva. Immediately clicked with the people there, immediately clicked with the technology. And I knew it was time for me to go back to a startup. And I have not regretted it since. In almost 30 years in tech, I have very often been the only woman in the room. I have gotten mansplained a lot. And I've also found out that men who were junior to me in terms of responsibility made more money than I did. And at times that was pretty demoralizing. But rather than getting desensitized to that, I realized I had an opportunity to drive for change. I think it also... You wonder a little bit, what is the chicken and the egg, right? Is it my personality, or did my personality get shaped by this? I'm not quite sure. But I've also made sure that I didn't become a pushover. And I knew exactly how to talk back to people mansplaining me. And I also made sure to get invited to the table where it mattered. That has made me very conscious, though, of the fact that not all women are comfortable doing this or know how to do this. So as I got more seasoned in my experiences and I got more senior in my responsibilities and in my roles, I've taken it on myself to really look out for other women and help and coach and mentor them in these areas. And hopefully I've been helpful to many other women around me on that front. I think it really starts within yourself, being aware of the fact that we all have hidden biases based on maybe how we were raised, where we grew up, our cultures, our communities. Even though we might think of ourselves as free-spirited, liberal, and open-minded people, we really all do have bias. And being mindful of that and aware enables us, I think, to catch ourselves when maybe in an unintended manner exemplifying, behavior that might be biased. So be mindful of that. Ask yourself, catch yourself, think about how you perceive and think about other people. And one thing that we can do to help correct gender inequality, especially in tech, I think, is to look out for the women around you. We're all going to reach a point in our career where we might have co-workers or people reporting to us who might not be as experienced or seasoned as you are, and basically have their back. Make sure that you invite them to the table where it matters. Make sure that you coach them and advise them and be there for them for questions they might have or tricky situations that they need assistance with. So keep your eyes peeled. Remember your own experiences and see if you can help the women around you overcome the challenges that they inevitably encounter. Because again, in the many years that I've been in tech, to this day, I'm still often one of few women in the room. The mansplaining has gotten a little bit less. I won't allow for that anymore. And hopefully the pay inequality has gotten rectified over the past few years. But be aware of these things. They exist. They are a problem, and it's on all of us to fix it.
So my background is has been in neuroscience. So when I graduated from undergrad, I had a psychology neuroscience degree. I also, decided to design my own major as well to work on neuromarketing and public relations because I enjoy the idea of, understanding that advertising and media across, generations, across cultures and countries just varies from individual to individual. And for me, it's very interesting because as an Asian American, I get to see what it's like to be in the Asian community, but also in the American side of the community. So it's like, the way I perceive things could be different than the way you perceive things, right? So I've been working in neuromarketing in the consumer neuroscience space for a few years. And then I did some work in brain-computer interfaces. And most recently, I was in London at UCL doing my master's in clinical neuroscience, focusing on epilepsy research. And then I was also working at a startup in London that was working on digital neurocognitive assessments for dementia and other forms of cognitive impairment. And now I'm here at Affectiva, back in Boston, where I'm from, which is very exciting. And I'm here to work as a research manager. So I'm doing all the things that I love. I think that's a really hard question for me because I never really think about it, but it's not until you go into the meeting rooms and you see that you're probably one of two women actually in the room that you kind of realize that, maybe I'm a little bit different. But I never really look at it that way because I never want to set myself, back or whatever. Mm-hmm. So to me, being a woman in tech, what's important to me is the data. I think the data is always the most, it's everything that I do. So to me, it's about what does this data mean and how can I use it to tell a story from beginning to finish? In a 30-second ad, no 2 seconds will always be the same, right? So everything is always changing. It's always going to be different. And the data is going to be able to reflect that. So my passion is being able to use science and technology in a way to tell a creative story that, is backed by science, it's validated, but, to be able to bridge that gap between business and technology so the two can come together in synergy. So that's what it means to me personally. So for me, I think breaking the bias is about broadening the definition of what it means to be a woman in technology, but also to understand that there's no right way to do it. There's no one way to do it. To be a woman in tech does not mean you have to be a coder. It does not mean you have to have an MBA to be an entrepreneur. There's so many different ways that you can get here. So for me, I took a little bit more time to get my master's. I spent some time in industry trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so, it's all really led me here. And I think it's really important to know that. And, I think when you're in college, they always tell you that it's important to get your doctorate or you need to be at a certain point in a certain GPA to get places. But that's not true. And so I'm here to tell people that you don't need to be a coder. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't need to have your PhD. All you have to do is just have passion and to be able to be dedicated to what you want to do and to have a good idea and then follow through.
From Gothenburg, Sweden to Cairo, Egypt, Boston, Massachusetts, and everywhere in between, I found the stories of these women and answers to our questions truly inspiring. It was really cool to see the similarities and challenges across geographies and functions. I am very proud to work alongside them, and I'm pleased to wish them and all of you an amazing International Women's Day. And on a side note, we are also always on the lookout for amazing talent to help grow our team. So if you're interested in joining us, definitely check out our career pages I've dropped into the show notes, and maybe we'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our Human-Centric AI podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes. We're also on social media, so please reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to share any feedback you have on the show. Don't forget to rate us and comment with your feedback to help make the podcast more discoverable for others. Until next time, thanks for listening.